and worship the Lord, since that's what you have been asking for. Then Moses and Aaron were driven out of Pharaoh's presence. Interesting thing about that little conversation there, he calls them bent on evil when it's clearly Pharaoh. And he says, only have the men and worship, since that's what you've been asking for, which is not true.
Mama.
Welcome back to the Good Book Club. This is chapter 10
Yeah,
of Exodus.
straight to the point.
Straight to the point. Which locust is this? I mean,
Bugs. You mean
I asked which locust
it's
is
a
this.
plague.
I meant to ask which plague is this.
Which locust is it? It's a plague.
I gave it away. This is plague number 8.
Plague nummer 8.
Number 8.
Okay.
This one was obviously announced because 3, 6, 9, those, the 3rd, 6th, and 9th plagues were unannounced. So,
Three numbers apart from each other as well.
yeah, there's a pattern.
A pattern.
God had method behind the madness of all the plagues. But anyhow, from here, this was right after the hail and the storm, and all the trees were beaten down with the hail, and the land was ruined, and the locusts were sent like an army, and they ate everything that was left. The little
There's
that
not
Egypt
much
had,
left, and it's already still devouring the leftness.
the leftovers.
The leftovers.
Leftness, that's a new word now. We can put that on the quote, leftness, Timu. The leftovers, they ate all the leftovers. Everything that was green, even a little bit of green, they ate it. And this meant that they
making more of
eat.
the desert. The desert it already has been.
What?
Making more of the desert it already has been.
Oh, that's interesting. It's kind of like bringing it back to its base land. Because it was a desert at first, right? Egypt.
Yeah, I think.
And then it grew from there? I'm not sure.
Well, the Nile is where all the plants and everything was. So I think with the harvest and stuff, it just got broader and wider of the spread where it was fertile for plants. Yeah.
Okay. And the locusts ate everything that was left. And it says that there were so many locusts that they covered the face of the earth, that the whole land was dark of the locusts. You couldn't see the ground. And then I imagined this shot in my head where it zooms out of planet Earth, and then you see Egypt, and it's just black with all the locusts.
Yeah, it's just
except Goshen.
It's gonna be very painful of them just jumping past you, just like jumping by, because hard shell.
Oh right, and they have those little sharp stuff.
Yeah.
Oh. Imagine millions of them.
It's already hectic, and there isn't really windows.
Oh, that's true. They had like a window, but it had no glass.
Yeah.
So you could clearly not shut yourself away from them.
No, it's like in the cartoons, put the wood there.
Oh no. But Moses again went to negotiate or reason with Pharaoh. And as always, Pharaoh said, no, you can take this, but don't take this. And
being picky and stingy.
He was stingy. And one of the things I hate about Pharaoh is that after
hate is
Moses...
strong word.
Okay, despise?
Despise, dislike.
Dislike.
All of this is...
disapprove? That I don't like? Should I put it that way?
Yeah, you can put
it. So what I strongly disapprove, okay, is in verse 9 of chapter 10, Moses is speaking. We will go with our young and our old. That's the young people and the older people, with our sons and daughters, with our flocks and herds, because we are to celebrate a festival to the Lord. They needed the animals to do the offerings. Pharaoh replied, the Lord be with you if I let you go, along with your women and children! Exclamation mark. Clearly you are bent on evil. No, I have only the men go and worship the Lord, since that's what you have been asking for. Then Moses and Aaron were driven out of Pharaoh's presence. Interesting thing about that little conversation there, he calls them bent on evil when it's clearly Pharaoh. And he says, only have the men and worship, since that's what you've been asking for, which is not true. They've been asking for the young, the old, the men, the women, the children, the animals everything to go away. And here Pharaoh is lying to them, and even before they could say anything, they were driven out of his presence. I hate it when people do that.
That's what fools do.
That is definitely because you can't reason with him. Every time Moses tried to reason with him, it ended up just him hardening his heart again.
Yeah, a fool despised wisdom.
A fool despised wisdom. What do you mean by that?
Wisdom, reasoning, knowledge. Because with wisdom comes knowledge and reasoning.
Right, and then a fool can't reason. You can try, and it's just it goes in a circle. They just harden their hearts again. Do you remember that Pharaoh is the type of character in the Bible that portrays rebellion? He symbolizes rebellion against God. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So Pharaoh is typically portrayed in the Bible as the character who rebels against God. That's why it was such a big deal of when he hardened his heart, and the Lord, through Pharaoh and these wonders, used to glorify his name.
Okay.
And what's very cool about this locusts plague, how it ended, as you know, he asked that the plague be taken away. Moses did pray, and he stretched out his staff, verse 13, and the Lord made an east wind blow over the land all that day and night, and by morning the wind had brought the locusts. This is how they came into the land of Egypt, with an east wind. And when they were asked to be taken away, it was a west wind that took them away. The east wind brought them in, west wind brought them away, took them away.
Okay.
And what's very cool for me is that, where did the locusts go? Do you remember?
The Dead Sea.
No.
They came from the other sea.
It doesn't.
The living sea.
Let me just make sure where they came from.
The Dead Sea doesn't have any fish.
No, it doesn't say which sea they came from. It just said that an east wind blew across the land, and that's where they came from.
We did do research that the Dead Sea is the other direction. Is the if you go to the west side.
Let's quickly check the map again.
Yeah, check the map. Check
the map. Where's the map?
Over there. Right there.
This is World of the Patriarchs, Exodus and Conquest of Canaan. So this was the Sea of Reeds, or the Red Sea. Some translations actually translate it as Sea of Reeds instead of the Red Sea, because there were reeds in the sea.
Okay.
But anyway, it's cool to me that the east wind brought the locusts and the west wind took it away.
Yeah.
And then those locusts were thrown into the Red Sea, which is kind of a reference to the final battle.
We need to just make sure it's the Red Sea.
It does actually say that. It says right here, let me just find it again. Verse 19, the Lord changed the wind to a very strong west wind, which caught up the locusts and carried them into the Red Sea. Not a locust was left anywhere.
Sure. And the Red Sea is the Dead Sea.
Are you sure?
Because of all the high salt content.
I'm not sure about that. Is it the Dead Sea, the Red Sea? Are you sure?
Is it Roy Sea?
I don't think so.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure it's not the same sea, but we can quickly look up.
Let's see which sea is the what sea.
The Dead Sea. Let's see which sea it is.
Let's have a look. Showdown.
Okay, so it's according to this. No, the Red Sea and the Dead Sea are two separate bodies of water. They are both located in the Middle East, but they are distinct and not the same. So it's not the same sea.
Okay, so they said the Red Sea.
Yeah.
So that's where all the fishes are. The Dead Sea is the high salt content sea.
I was actually in the Dead Sea.
Here you are.
Anyhow, it's cool because in my other Bible it has a footnote of how the locusts were taken to the Sea of Reeds or the Red Sea, and it's kind of cool that it already links to what's going to happen a few chapters later when it's the final battle where the Red Sea was split and Pharaoh was defeated.
I can just imagine the song from Queen. It's a final countdown.
Nice. Wait, did Queen do the final countdown? I think it was someone else.
No, it was someone else. Why did I think it's Queen? Oh, he's fact checking me again.
Well, it's good to fact check.
A final countdown. Who was it
Final
again?
countdown. It was. Oops.
But it would be amazing if Queen did it.
I don't think they did it. It was another band. It's Europe.
Europe.
Yeah.
Where in Europe?
No, that's
the band Europe.
That's the band's name. Is Europe.
Okay.
I actually didn't know that. But anyhow.
Interesting.
From there was the 9th plague. You know which one that was?
The 9th plague was the next plague after the 8th plague.
Which plague was the 9th one?
Hey, don't close my eyes.
I'm giving you a hint.
Oh, you're blinding me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's darkness, guys.
Darkness. This one was the 9th one and was unannounced. It was so dark that they could feel the darkness.
Ooh, so that's different because some people will say it's the lunar eclipse that took place, but how long was it?
3 days.
Okay, so if it does it say 3 days?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
Let
so
me show,
if it was
me to
no, just making sure.
Okay,
just making
3
sure.
days.
Okay, so if it is 3 days, a lunar eclipse is usually like a few minutes to an hour, maybe half an hour. I don't know, not completely, but I know it doesn't last forever. Or 3 days. 3 days is 72 hours, which is quite a bit.
It's quite long. And if you have no light, you lose track of time.
Yeah.
They didn't have a clock or a watch or anything.
So the reason why I bring up the lunar eclipse is because when you will know when the sun is being blocked, because you will feel the cold because there isn't any warmth coming from the sun because it's being blocked. Now, my question here is, okay, they felt it, but why? But there's a sort of a catch. The Israelites were able to see.
Yes, because God made a distinction.
And how did he make the distinction?
I'm not sure. Maybe it was darkness all around, and then that one spot had light. I don't know.
One solid, dense cloud breaking everything.
It just says.
But did the people were the Egyptians able to see the Israelites' location or not? Because if they were not, then it means they were actually blinded, and the environment was cold.
It doesn't say if the Egyptians could see the Israelites. It does say
because they would have used their lamps also for the darkness.
But if you couldn't see anything, how would you know where the matches were or anything?
Muscle memory and stuff.
Well,
they use it anyways for the evenings.
Sure, but it says here, verse 22. Let me read verses 21 to 23. Lord spoke to Moses, stretch out your hand toward the sky, so the darkness spreads over Egypt, darkness that can be felt. So Moses stretched out his hand toward the sky. Total darkness covered all Egypt for 3 days. No one could see anyone else or move about for 3 days. Yet all the Israelites had light in the places where they lived.
Ooh, the move about. They didn't move.
They sat in darkness. I think what's interesting about this is this was an attack on the sun god Ra. And it's interesting where it says... No, not Rasputin. So,
anyways.
Okay. So the sun god called Ra was one of their most important gods ever because it gave them light so they can actually see what was going on. And what I thought of now is if it says it was a darkness that could be felt, do you think they absolutely felt the absence of their god?
Probably.
Because that would have basically said for 3 days long, your god is not real.
Yeah, so it's basically shattering the belief. So it's like, I don't want to do anything. It's that can also explain why they didn't move, because like I need some time.
And I think by this time they would have wanted just time, as you say, because it's 9 plagues already.
I just want to chill.
Maybe it
gotta be chilly there as well.
I can imagine it was cold. For 3 days you don't have sun. It will definitely be cold.
Because did you always feel the darkness when you were a little kid and the lights were switched off and you weren't in your bed?
You could feel the darkness in a scary kind of way.
Whatever.
I think so.
because there is a sense to the darkness, but it's actually your thoughts creeping in. So it's
Oh wow.
yeah,
They could have had like really bad nightmares.
bad nightmares or whatever, because their belief of their gods were already shattered. So it's I think that was also making it feel even worse.
Yo. Yo.
Mm.
And they might have laid down since they didn't move and just cried and questioned everything.
Yeah.
And this was unannounced, which is interesting because the raw god was a very important one for them. And suddenly it's dark.
Yep.
For 3 days.
Hectic.
And maybe it doesn't say specifically that they could see those Israelites had light, but maybe from a distance that they could see there was light. But I don't know.
We'll never know.
Unless one day you ask one of the Egyptians in heaven that believed in God,
Did you see
light? Or you can just ask God himself.
Yeah, just ask God himself. Yeah. Sure.
Just ask him and then he'll tell you.
Yeah. Very
Nice.
simple.
Nice. But from here on out, again, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron to take away the plague, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened again, and they actually had some heated words with each other. You can imagine all the tension building up until now. God after God after God was insulted and made useless.
Please stop.
And Pharaoh said to Moses in verse 28, "Get out of my sight. Make sure you do not appear before me again. The day you see my face, you will die." "Just as you say," Moses replied, "I will never appear before you again."
Nice.
Why do you say nice towards such a really intense moment?
Because he'll never appear to him again.
You did actually see him again.
Yeah, it did, but okay, but it was different.
But Moses
did not die.
He didn't die. Moses' life was spared.
So,
his life was spared again when he was supposed to die. Oh, that's interesting. I just realized that. Sorry, my mind was just blown.
Just blown for a moment. Yeah.
Anyway, what
cool,
were you saying? It was very cool.
Yeah.
That's how the chapter ends.
Oh,
that's it.
That's it, guys.
And the next one is a very short chapter, but that is the last plague.
It's the last plague. So stay tuned for the next episode, guys.